Hey traders, Raghee here, and in today's recap video, I'm going to go over the NASDAQ. We had a really great conversation about the NAS in the post-close session that we do every day from 4:05 till about, whenever. And one of the questions was about the NAS, because one of the positions I put on today was an aggressive NASDAQ short. And it's not aggressive because it's higher risk. It's actually pretty low risk. And it's not aggressive because I'm bending the rules, because it was actually a valid wave reversal. But what I think made it aggressive were the stocks that were not cooperating with the move. And yes, when you are trading the NAS and the SPOOs and the Dow futures, you have to understand what certain stock names are doing. So I'm going to walk you through that here today. If you're going to be a successful index trader in the futures world, there are going to be certain stocks that you have to keep in mind. Now, I'm going to dive into the NAS here and talk about two sides of the trade and 5 names you got to know. We're going to start off with Apple. Now, if I'm going to play a rollover on the NQ futures contract, there's got to be certain names that are rolling over, heading lower with bearish momentum as well. Apple should be one of them. Amazon has got to be another. Facebook has got to be another. Google has got to be another. And what happened is Amazon did roll over, so that was help. Apple wasn't. Facebook did not roll over. So again, that was not helping the NASDAQ position. But going into the Asian session, Facebook's flattened out, and that could be a little bit of help to a downward move in the NQ. The alphabets, both Goog and Google, had started to roll over, so that is going to help a little bit in terms of dragging the market down. And then finally, Microsoft did not. So Apple still heading up higher, Microsoft holding the uptrend, but the Googles, the Amazon, and even Facebook are showing signs of a little bit of weakness, or at least forget weakness, more of a neutral market. Okay. Now, why is this important? Because these are the heaviest weighted names within the NASDAQ. And unless these names are cooperating, I'm not going to get the rollover to the downside here that I'm looking for. So this is a valid short. It remains a valid short. But the bigger thing is, what other time frames were showing indications of a setup? So one of the questions I got during the post-close was this: Rag, I'm long the NAS. And I said, okay, that's cool, no problem. What time frame are you long on? What's your price objective? And what price are you long from? Because if someone this morning said, okay, Rag, I get that you're short, why are you interested in the short? I would have said, well, I think, and I did this in the chat room this morning, I think we got some previous highs, and that's going to respect an upside obstacle. And guess what? It did. It did from the highs that we hit around the 58.14.5 area. We actually topped out today at 58.12. So that is working right now. However, the continuation to the downside is the question. So I'm expecting exhaustion. I'm just not going to short based on that. I'm going to look for a rollover, some bearish momentum. That's why I woke up after looking at the daily time frame with a bearish bias, looking for an intraday rollover short sell. But some traders might say, well, Rag, there could also be another 35 points to the upside just to get up to the 58.50 area. So you're thinking 58.14, 58.15 could be exhaustion, but in reality, we could be all the way up to 50. I still think we can get long. Let's say that was the argument, because we can make different arguments, and that's going to change the time frame and the setups we're looking for. Doesn't make any one less valid. It's just more about which bias and therefore which risk tolerance are you willing to take. And the funny thing is, today, if you were a bull and willing to buy the pullbacks of the wave, you had 3 different opportunities, 2 very conservatively, to get long from easily the 57.80.5 level, and then again from the 57.85 level. Those are actually really good buys. If you woke up with a bullish bias and you were willing to wait for the corrections, that was where easily and profitably right now you could get long. So I don't want anybody thinking there's only one way to wake up with a bias and trade the market. That's not true at all. But the bias you have is going to dictate the setup you're looking for, and therefore also the time frame that you're looking at. And when you're looking at these individual stock indexes, you got to be aware of whether or not certain names are cooperating with you. So just like I showed you how the different heavily weighted stocks with the NAS were not all working for me in the 30-minute, if you did that same scan across the 60s, these are really looking quite good, aren't they? Except for Amazon, right, which is the one that rolled over. Facebook's fine, Microsoft, Apple, right? Here's Google. So you might say, okay, Rag, I get where the exhaustion's happening, but out of the names you're telling me to watch, both the Googles, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, if I've only got one, right, out of those names, 1 out of 6, or 2 out of 6, that are rolling over, I'm probably going to remain bullish longer term, right? You might say that's fine. And Rag, you're taking more of an aggressive short because only 2 out of 6 or 1 out of 6 at the time are working for you. And that's true too. So realize there's an argument to be made for both sides and a good setup that can be made for both sides as well. So think about that the next time you put on a trade. This isn't about hedging, not at all. This is about having conviction in the time frame and the bias that you have and having the discipline to find the strategy that you can take. And both were fine today. Both were fine today. One's still valid and one's actually in the money in terms of the 60 versus 30. And the bias is going to dictate that. All right. So I hope you think about that the next time you put on a trade. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next update.